Hello, my name's Danny. Welcome to Small Danny. This is the only channel on the internet where everyone is only 4 inches tall. Don't think about it. Angelica, a kooky and funny ASMR content creator, is probably considered one of the early adopters of ASMR roleplays, known primarily for her quirky personality, funny roleplays, and general comedic stylings. She's done some collabs with some fairly big ASMR content creators. Her herself is probably considered a fairly big ASMR content creator, but she's done stuff with GB, like personal collabs. She was in the ASMR B movie. Look at that, right there.
Or should I say,
not that?
Mr.
That's
Gordon M.
no, yeah,
It's not his
that's
real
her there.
You idiots.
The other one was me. I was in that. Although recently, I think it's safe to say, maybe she's gone a bit weird. I mean that in a nice way. I don't mean that in like a... Nah, I kind of mean it in a bad way. I'm sorry. She's kind of gone nuts. I'm sorry. Because I don't know how else to say it. I'm trying to be nice. Just cut me some slack. But just bear with me. Video essays usually aren't my bag. This is difficult for me. This is this is my first cup of tea I've drank in about 3 years. Quite genuinely. Angelica has 3 YouTube channels. Normal ASMR. Also, for some reason, normal ASMR. And then, a video essay. A little video essay channel. She did a video on Gwen Gwiz and her transition from, ASMR to OnlyFans to trad wife. Being a TikTok trad wife. And this is the video that we are watching today. Angelica says some stuff in it. Oh boy, she says some stuff. Let's just jump into the video. Angelica starts generally just by setting the scene, telling us who Gwen is. It's the first minute and a half. It's a normal, lovely video. But I'd even watch it in my spare time. It's that lovely of a video. Okay, so after a minute and 10 seconds, shall we say, things start to get a little bit weird.
Express common mainstream liberal opinions like supporting abortion, buying into the plastic surgery hysteria, identifying as a feminist, and dabbling in lesbianism.
It kind of sounded for a second like Angelica said the phrase dabbling in lesbianism. I'm sure she didn't. I'm gonna double check.
And dabbling in lesbianism. She wasn't raised religiously and was pretty much subject to the world's influence in whichever way it flowed.
Hey, maybe that's a one-off. It's kind of it's a little bit of a dog whistle. I'd say it's a little bit of a dog whistle for maybe having some beliefs that might be a little to the right. And hey, that's fine. If you're watching this and I have beliefs that are a little to the right, you do you. That's absolutely fine. As long as your beliefs ain't hurting nobody, hey, kisses to you. Big old kisses from Danny to you. But let's keep I'm pointing here because that's where my video is. Your video's up there. That's going to confuse everyone. But let's just keep watching the video.
Quite open about her politics both in her ASMR and vlogs, but she was never a leftist. Leftism is rooted in a collectivist, anti-hierarchical, anti-imperialist, and anti-capitalist philosophy where the individual sheds their individual wants for the collective's sake and adopts a purely materialist perspective on life. Most self-proclaimed leftists are not leftists, but rather the degenerate spawns of a declining capitalist system. These self-proclaimed leftists, whose entire identity subsists off pure capitalism, are literally just useful idiots for the current establishment to further destroy actual communities based on families, faith, and neighborhood ties.
Gwen is liberal. Gwen's not a leftist. But if Gwen was a leftist, here's all the things I want to say about leftists. Look, hey, listen. I kind of think that's them saying, hardcore leftists, especially in America, I'm pro-abortion. Hey, I'm pro-women's autonomy. What a strange concept. I don't think that's them saying, I'm going to burn down banks.
Promotes women sexually objectifying themselves as a means to empower themselves. This philosophy preys upon mentally unwell and traumatized young women.
I'm starting to think that Angelica might be a little anti-sex work. I'm starting to think that she might hate a little bit of the sex work. Just the only reason I think that is because of the things that she just said. For me, and I'm just a little cis white boy with thoughts. It is what it is. I'm not a prey to the power structures of the sex industry in the same way that some women are. But I think Angelica frames this a lot in the video of saying that the liberal feminism are forcing people into sex work by empowering them to do so. From my experience, what that framework is doing is empowering personal autonomy. That's saying, if you want to do sex work, you do that. If you want to do that, that's great. If you don't want to do it, of course, don't do it. You do what you want to do. I think that is, from my understanding, what the movement is primarily doing. I don't know any people, doesn't mean to say they don't exist, that are saying, hey, you should do sex work and OnlyFans, or I'm gonna be real mad at you. I don't know any of those people. I think that's crazy. I think that's really crazy. And Angelica is framing these devices in such a way as if to say there are two sides. There's her side, which is women should not do that because it is damaging to them. And the other side, the liberals are forcing people to do it against their will. And I don't think that exists. Like, it's just all about personal autonomy, right? If you want to do sex work, great. Do OnlyFans, make content, do sex work. If you don't, you probably shouldn't, because that'd be weird. That's it, right? It ain't that deep. If you want to do it, do it. If you don't, don't. Yeah, sure, like, she speaks about that, like, later on in this video about there being some bad consequences. Unfortunately, yeah, there can be bad consequences to doing those sorts of things. There can be bad consequences to doing a lot of things. That's just all part of weighing up if it's worth it. And it's being framed a lot in this video as if Gwen's experiences are universal. As if to say, this bad stuff happened to Gwen because she thought this, and this is what happens to everyone. And I don't think like, not to brag, I know a couple of people in the sex industry. Hey, I'm a well-connected guy. They're okay. They're fine. It's a job. It's a job. They hate parts of it. They love parts of it. It ain't that deep, right? It ain't that deep.
You go in this path, the more unwell you're going to feel psychologically, emotionally, and even spiritually. The feeling you get when you're dead inside is pretty much your spirit inside of you going to sleep and feeling like they don't have to wake up. It's basically you as a human being deciding to forfeit your existence on this earth and deciding you're going to live as a ghost for the rest of your time here, basically. When Gwen...
What? I think Angelica was saying then, and if you in the comment sections understand this bit, I'm not a spiritual person. I understand from Angelica's thing they are a spiritual person, and that's a big part of their life, and that's fine. That's okay. I just don't understand quite a lot of the language surrounding spirituality. But she did appear to be saying, if you get involved with sex work, your spirit will die and turn into a ghost, and you'll be wandering around soulless and empty.
She was a victim of revenge porn, where an ex-boyfriend leaked nude images of her online.
Just obviously, this goes without saying. I don't need to say this, but I want to say it. That's awful. That she was a victim of revenge porn, as Angelica puts it. That's like, yeah, no one should go through any of that. And Gwen, in her video, talks a little bit more in detail about it to say it's almost as if, well, people have already seen it, so why not? And that contributed to her decision to go down that route and doing it, which obviously it's awful. No one should go through that. That's an incredibly objectifying and dehumanizing thing to do, and I very much imagine it has a horrible effect on one's psyche. But Gwen also further goes on to say in her video that, like, that wasn't not really the reason. She knows the reason was money. She was materially motivated, as Angelica says a lot. She wanted money. She made OnlyFans because she wants the money, and that's okay.
However, she does emphasize that above all, the money was her ultimate goal because she lived a very consumerist lifestyle. Once again, consumerism is antithetical to leftism. She also explained how
consumerism is antithetical to leftism, but as people who are on the left agree, we do live in a capitalist society. We're not trying to live outside of society and make our own sort of commune somewhere. Some people do that. Hey, good on them. That's great. I can't I can't chop down trees. I ain't gonna do too well. Like I don't consider myself I don't really know what leftist is. I would consider myself very left wing. I hold a lot of left wing beliefs, some crazy beliefs like autonomy. I don't want to accuse Angelica of being of straw manning leftist beliefs, but just because someone claims they are leftist, it doesn't make them a hypocrite if they aren't burning down a Starbucks, right?
She was one of the few women among millions of creators who made a lucrative earning on the website, keeping in mind that OnlyFans as a website also made a good amount of money off her and other girls' exploitation. Due to this financial...
Got some issues with the framing of this. Yes, OnlyFans made a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, I don't like OnlyFans. I don't like OnlyFans at all. As a business, like they've made loads of mistakes. I think what they could be doing what they're doing way better, and there is definitely a better way to pay people for their content more directly so they get more of the revenue. Undisputed. I think that's something I think we will find out in due course at some point. Right now, OnlyFans is kind of just what's there and allows people to still sort of make a living off that sort of content. I don't think just because you are making content on OnlyFans, you are being exploited. I think that is very sketchy wording.
Over time, she soon realized the truth of what making this type of content does to a person, regardless of how normalized it is in society or not. In order to make this type of content, you have to be emotionally broken, psychologically fractured, and or materially driven.
One of those things is not like the other. You gotta be so emotionally bereft, so sad, psychologically. You gotta be destroyed. Or you've got to like money. Those three things are crazy. At what point are you making? What are you trying to say?
Or worse, John's buying sex from...
What is this picture? What's happening here? Where did you get this picture, and why is it on my screen?
It's like a cancer upon humanity, a slave factory for the living dead. Anyone who praises, promotes, or otherwise...
A cancer on humanity, a slave factory for the living dead. Now, hey, I don't want to accuse anyone of being dramatic. Look, I said that whilst my hands are up here. That's a very dramatic thing to do. But a slave factory for the living dead. Get out of here with that language. I see you. You got a little bust of something in the corner there. You made all nice. You're underscoring classical music. You're going for a little intellectual look, aren't you? And don't get me wrong, Angelica, I watched your videos. You are an intellectual. You read all the time. You love books. You're very clever. I don't doubt that for a second. But you're really playing into that, aren't you? With your strange metaphors. Come here. You're an intellectual. You're smart. You're clever. I won't doubt that for a second. You know what you're talking about. When you underscore your videos with a little bit of classical music, when you have some sort of bust in the background like that, and when you start using the metaphors in the way you've used it, I don't think it has the effect that you want it to. I don't think you come across as an intellectual. I don't think you come across like you're particularly smart because you're using the big words with the out there metaphors. I think it has the opposite effect. And I mean that with love. I mean that with kindness. There's only love and kindness from Danny. I know I've been shitting here, I've been shitting there, I've been shitting a little bit everywhere, but it is with love. That's Martha. That's Martha. I could be wrong. Strike me down. Hey Lord, strike me down if I'm wrong.
You are objectifying yourself. That means you are not a human being with agency anymore.
If you're objectifying yourself, you can still have agency. I don't think it's even possible to submit agency over to someone else accidentally. You're still doing what you're doing. Like, it's a point that comes up later on when her and in Gwen's video, when they speak about sort of lack of agency and lack of control over that, and it kind of just comes down to you're objectifying yourself as a job. That's your job. You don't have to do it forever. You don't have to be objectifying yourself outside of that role. You don't need to walk down the street objectifying yourself. You objectify. You choose when to, like, if it's a debate in of itself whether you are really objectifying yourself. But if you want to go down that route, you objectify yourself for money and then you stop doing that.
You are expected to perform sex or incite lustful thoughts in strange men as their sexual object.
That's your job. You choose to do that as a job. You do that because it's a transactional thing, right? You're not expected to do it when you're not working. Like, I wouldn't go to an accountant who's at home at night and go, "Oi, are you thinking about numbers? Quickly, what's 93 times 7? Go!" Like, then I work. Like, that isn't, you aren't expect it, it's just a job. Whether or not it's like content creation or sex work, it ain't that deep, right?
Pornography and prostitution destroy societies. They always have, and they always will.
Okay. Angelica's got this whole thing about labour. From what I've gathered from what they've said on here, and there's a post on Instagram where they were fighting with Diddley, who is I think that's their name, who is another ASMR content creator, and who does work similar to what Gwen used to do, where Angelica did a post saying, basically, if you're not in a STEM field, do labour, because everything else doesn't matter. You should be doing sort of labour. And it obviously it had a lot of engagement because it's an insane thing to say. But what do you think that the people who do labour do when they stop doing labour? Do they go home and stare at the wall until it's time to do labour again? Do they go watch other people do labour? Like, you need the arts, you need entertainment, you need things that aren't directly a labour-based skill. Like, and whether the entertainment is in the form of, as Angelica would say, pornography, or if it's in the form of a nice little song, like, that is not labour, really, in the like, I don't really understand that take. Maybe I've not looked too much into it. I think it just, I don't get it.
Kink culture, including abusive practices like cuckoldry, CNC, among others.
I'm not gonna stick too much on this bit, but if you don't know what CNC is, Google it. I'm not gonna say it here, but the first C in CNC is consensual. That's what it means. How's that abusive? Like, by its very nature, everyone's happy with it.
She couldn't understand why this was happening to her, because everyone around her just encouraged her forward and normalized her perspective. Meanwhile, Gwen, like many others, ignored the more sober-minded voices, warning her against this path, that is, until she started looking for their voices.
I mean, yeah. Like, of course people are going to support what she's doing, because that's her job. She chose to do it. No one forced her to do it. Like, people aren't going to go, stop doing that thing you're doing that you're making loads of money from and appear to be happy doing. Like, the only people that are going to tell you not to do it are people with religious agendas. You're only really going to find those voices when you develop one yourself, which is what happened. And that's fine. Like, I'm not bashing that. Like, if you want to stop doing OnlyFans because you found God, great. Then stop doing OnlyFans and follow on with your life. That's okay. But I don't think it's fair to, like, paint this as some sort of woe story that everyone who does that sort of content is going to melt down and be a slave marching to their death, or whatever it was that Angelica said earlier.
She started listening to alternative voices who shed light on the evils of the sex industry and showed her a healthier, better lifestyle that solved her personal issues, including her consumerist habits, her declining self-esteem, and encouraged her away from the sex industry, unlike the self-proclaimed feminists who encouraged her into it.
No. I think what the feminists would have done is say, hey, do you want to do that? Yeah? Then go ahead. You're your own woman. You've got autonomy. You can do what you want. They wouldn't say, well, I know you don't want to do, I don't want to sound like this. I know you don't want to do that, but maybe fucking do it. Make that account right now. Make it. They wouldn't do that. That's like a crazy thing. Like, they would empower people. They would empower, like, it's all about empowerment and autonomy. It's not about telling people what to do. It's the opposite of telling people what not to do. Ain't that deep.
She logically realized how and why God exists.
This is not for this. The phrase logically realized how and why God exists is... it's just bait. That's just bait. I'm not touching it. Okay, I'm going to skip forward a bit.
But that's because you are acting a little bit like a right-wing lunatic, to quote you. Because you just spend all of your time now promoting this conservative lifestyle and being anti-government. Spend all of your time now promoting this conservative lifestyle.
And then on that, like, you know...
Angelica, come here. Those cuts. Come on, we get it. You're saying there's a pride flag in the background. They've got dyed hair. You're pointing them out as a little bit of a stereotype. That ain't given the impression that I think you think it is. That is kind of saying a lot more about you and how you perceive this community than it actually is about the community itself. That's saying that you're kind of... It makes you seem like you're a bit of a bigot. I'm not saying you are. Hey, I wouldn't say that. You did say the term lesbianism earlier, but I could have let that slide. What are you doing here? I don't like it. I don't like it one bit.
To summarize her entire character and her entire character arc...
A minor pitch bend. That's very funny.
Marry a man if you're a lesbian, but you can be queer. You can be bi.
Spend all your time now promoting this conservative lifestyle and being...
They encourage...
She's kind of making a good point, but I know Angelica's trying to use those to like show a sort of extreme counter belief to her, but she was objectively making a good point. Like, I have not done enough research on Gwen to know if she harbors right-wing beliefs. I think trad wife stuff generally is a... Sorry, I realize I was talking to you there whilst trying to make sure I'm still recording. I know trad wife stuff generally is... it's a bit dog whistly, and that stuff is quite conservative. Because it's all about sort of serving your husband. It's very traditional family role stuff, which is naturally quite right-wing conservative stuff. I don't necessarily have a problem with people doing that. I think it's weird when you tell people you should all be doing this. When you start sort of doing like, that's when I get a bit like, maybe not. I get the impression Angelica's getting a bit like this with what they're saying. I've not seen loads of Gwen's content. I don't get the impression that she is, by nature of her making content about it and advertising this lifestyle and glamorizing it, there is definitely an argument to say that is what she is doing.
Anyone who encourages degenerate behavior or even normalizes it is fundamentally delusional and actually dangerous.
Angelica goes on to say a bunch more stuff. You've seen the video. It's just more like that. It's more like that. They're like, you get it. Some Bible verses are said here and so. So I don't want this video to be a million years long. It probably already is a million years long. But just to kind of summarize, I don't agree with some of the things that Angelica is saying in these videos. And hey, maybe she's always been like this and never really been open with her political beliefs. Maybe this is something that she has always thought and has kept it hidden for fear of repercussion in the communities that she does. Maybe she's finally decided to speak about it. Maybe it's something new. I don't know. I just don't think people should be telling other people what to do with their lives. And that's what this sounds like. I don't even get the impression that Gwen is this conservative. I could be wrong. I could very much be wrong. I did not do any research, so I could be really wrong. But yeah, I don't know. It just feels like a shame to have someone who I was under the impression that they were very lovely and very open and very kind through the videos they've done, and I love their videos. I absolutely love their content, like ASMR content. I think is great. It's a shame that someone that came across as being really kind and really warm and really gentle can hold beliefs that like this, hold beliefs that can be quite damning to quite a lot of people, and hold beliefs that seem okay with calling certain people degenerates. I think it's a slippery slope, and I think once you start calling people degenerates, and once you start waxing poetic about the destruction of society just because of what some people are doing morally, you're a couple of steps away from some genuinely quite dangerous beliefs. And it's always a shame when I see people tiptoeing towards that. Bye!